return to Professor Moya. A very warm welcome to you. We're very happy that you found your way again to our university. It's your turn to ask your question, please.
I would like to start with asking you some questions. They're quite related on chapters 2 and chapters 5. So let me go through a series of questions. The first one is, you use a term, or used the term, one-use consumption in chapter 2. Does it agree or disagree, contradict your use of Deleuze's term, any space whatever, in chapter 5? Chapter 2, you're talking about the generic city, Boyeri's view, Kohlhaas's generic city, images of saturation, the frenzy of the image, even Warhol's banal image. In the 5th chapter, it's about Paris, the city of desert. You're talking about ex-urbanism, the periphery, the situationist, and so forth. Any space, whatever you say, are a sum of marginal spaces that tell stories. So I want to ask you, is there a contradiction in the one-use consumption? Have you adequately represented Deleuze in the shift between what is his book before the Second World War, on time, and after the book on space and cinema? So that's part of the question. The second part of it is you return repetitively, and as the examples I've shown, to the 1960s. What is the image of the 1960s with respect to the urban landscape today? Is it a continuum? Is it a disruption? Is it, like Deleuze, an epistemic shift, and something very different is going on with contemporary images? Is it a paradigm shift? So what is different, if there is a difference, about the contemporary urban landscape, urban images, urban representation? And why are you continually referencing the 1960s? And I think there's some specifics about how you use the images. So let's stop with that.
Clear the promoter, thank you for your question. I will answer the first question about the relation between the concept of one-use consumption and the concept of any space, whatever, that Deleuze speaks in his book, The Time Image and Movement Image. I use the term one-use consumption for contemporary urban territory in this sense of mobility and fragmentation and this perception of the city once and you don't see it again repeated, because everything changes so fast that our experience happens once and not anymore. So it's like you consume it once and that's all. It's like a disposable view. In a way, you have a disposable view. In China, even more, because things change so fast. Actually, one-use consumption has a negative connotation, while any space, whatever, it's not. In the book, I decided, in the second chapter, I decided to change the terminology of one-use consumption for this negative connotation. Because when we speak about disposable things that you throw away, it's really, and I think the perception of one thing, only perceive it once, can be also positive. So then I changed it to indifferent view, indifferent city, in a way, although indifference can also have a negative connotation, but indifference can be that everything looks like the same, although looking like the same can have different qualities. And then we go to any space whatever, an indifferent city, and any space whatever can be indifferent. But any space whatever, what Deleuze was referring, is that every time you look, you create a new space by fragmentation, by looking at those fragmentations. And you build up a new experience, a new city. It's like Italo Calvino in his book Invisible Cities, that he speaks all the time about Venice. but he creates any space whatever all the time, right? The fragmentations. He chooses the fragmentation, there is one space whatever. That can be everywhere. Actually, in the stories of Invisible Cities of Italo Calvino, what he tells about any of the cities, it could be applied to anyone. It's about a kind of generic city, but not in a negative connotation, in a positive one, because Remkolkas was speaking about generic, very sarcastic and very negative, and I think why it should be negative to have any space, whatever. It has reached them in the fragmentation. You can create your own story every time you look. So this is my connection between indifference and any space, whatever. For me, it has a positive connotation in the sense of Italo Calvino, of the creation of the fragmentation, and at the same time that it can be in any city. A description, you can apply it for example, the movie of The Red Desert of Antonioni. That it's very beautiful. You have the view of a factory area, but this could be everywhere, in any suburban city. This is an any space, whatever. But the wisdom that any space or whatever has, although it can be applied everywhere, that is what I try to tell in my research. This qualitative richness that creates that any space, whatever, can be transformed into landscape. About the second question.
Second question was about the 1960s.
Yes, 1960s. Again, this any space, whatever. And the shifting, the shifting time, space, and signal.
What I was trying to ask you is how the 60s relate to the contemporary. In other words, how you move back and forth. Do you see it as a continuum? Do you see a crisis of the image starting and it has excelled? Is it a rupture?
Yeah.
How do you problematize? Because you are never very explicit. You drop the 60s in without telling us why.
Yeah. There is a continuum with what nowadays, but what was happening in the 60s with the image, people was in a way conscious that they were using empty images. Empty images in the sense that they didn't want to be part of the authorship. And they were playing, but the play was a critical play. Also in cinema, Guy Debord was working with cinema very conscious. That was a play that was telling, that had a really a criticism, and it was an essay. Nowadays, we still play, we're still playing with images. We do now with simulations. So the play is there, but there's something lacking in that play, and the lack is the intellectual part. We are making jokes now, and I hope we can stop and be conscious that there is a criticism in a play. It is not only a joke, because a joke for a joke, and we see it in simulations. So I say continuity because in the 60s started this idea of collage, of the readable image, where it doesn't have an authorship, but it's self-consciousness. So it tells things that really makes us aware. So and nowadays we play, but this awareness is lacking. I hope you're satisfied with my answer.
Are you?
Yes.
Thank you very much.